Hello everyone. So following on from the video that I did recently talking about whether you should disclose or not disclose your autism diagnosis to your employer, I thought, well, know what? There's a lot of people that don't disclose their autism diagnosis to the company, but sometimes they would like to tell the people that they work with. So, should you tell your work colleagues that you have autism? Now, you can do that. Like, you don't have to disclose your autism to the business, like officially through HR, but you can tell people that you work with that you've got autism. And I think it's actually a really, really good thing. I actually think it's one of maybe the first things that you should do when you're working with people. Because it's up to your manager to take it forward. You can say to your manager, by the way, like, I've got autism. If he doesn't do anything about it, then it's a grey area, because really you should disclose it. In a sense, they should like go, you've got autism, like, let's see how we can support you. But really, you've not fully disclosed it. You've really got to fully disclose it with the business officially in writing, and they put it on your work notes, okay? So you can tell your work colleagues. And I found that in terms of people that I've managed, because I have been a store manager, I was in retail for 6 years and I managed to work my way up from a part-time sales all the way up to a store manager. Genuinely, people think that people with Asperger's, ADD and dyspraxia, which is what I have a diagnosed autism spectrum disorder. I'm high functioning, and a lot of people think that we can't be good customer facing and we can't speak to people. Now, honestly, I was top sales wherever I was. That's what happened. I always had a target, and they'd sit back and they'd go, how does he keep on beating me? And know what? It's because I did stuff in a very routine way. My autism helped me. I knew more about the products than anybody else because I dove further than anybody else. Because I see things so black and white. When something worked, I did it that way every time. So I was super consistent and I got consistent results. So there's positives to working with autism. But especially what I found was with working with people, you've got to watch how you take me sometimes, because I've got a video on like how my Asperger's has got me in trouble. When I was an assistant manager, I turned round to one of my members of staff and asked if she was on her period, because she was so grumpy. But it was like, she knew I had autism, and she was like, Paul, if I didn't know you had autism, Paul, I would have torn into you. I went, I'm still not happy that you said that, but I understand that you're so black and white that you don't see, there's no malice. And I think that's the thing that I can be quite hard to take. And again, other people with autism spectrum disorder we're all different. So again, some people you might find, like me, I come up with mental stuff and I rip into people, and I make fun of people quite a lot. It's just my way of conversating. It's my way of kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's like social anxiety, and it's just something that I found, and I'm an observationalist and I make observations even if you like it or you don't. But I've gotten away with it. So people know that, right, Paul might come out with some fucking mental stuff, but people know it's my autism, and they know that I don't mean anything bad by it. It's just the way that I communicate with people. And like people that work with me, especially in Top Styles, they knew that like he doesn't like change. So my manager would have to think, right, okay, I've got to bring this to him like a certain way, because if he does things a certain way and I'm now saying to him, yeah, Paul, you have to stop what you're doing, I'd freak out. So it's very important that like the people that worked around me knew I had autism, and they knew that I had no spatial awareness. So when I was like I used to lift, like we used to take tiles with them on wheelbarrows and stuff, I'd bump into people. So they knew you have to get away from Paul when he's going around the shop. I used to bump into things all the time and knock stuff over. I'd bump into people, and I bump into things quite a lot. I used to walk into things quite a lot, which everybody found funny. But it was the thing where they understood, right, here's dyspraxia. You might find people that are different to me, that they're quite in their shell. Maybe it's like they have a different sense of humour that people don't get. Maybe they speak a certain way and they think, oh, you're just not a nice person. You're just not understood the way that their mind works. Again, they might bore you to death. You're like, you're such a boring person. But they have autism, and it's the thing where it's like, that's what they do. If you speak about an interest, they'll focus on that interest and they don't know when to stop. So people that work with you, I found that people said to me that we adapted around your autism and we knew how to work with your autism. And it's something that's very important that people don't speak about, is that when you work with somebody with autism, you work with them, but you also work with their autism. It's like working with two different people. You've got Paul, that's like this great salesman, like just like anybody else, right? I was able to do my job, and again, I was me. I was a salesperson. But you also had Paul, the autistic boy, right? So you also had to deal with that as well. So I was very competitive, and I didn't like getting beat and stuff, and I was very target driven. And as a manager, you know, I was very black and white, and I was like, no, if I've told you, this is what I want you to do, This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do it this way. I mean, I didn't take very well to when people wanted to do stuff differently than me. I'd lead by example and be like, right, this is how we're going to do it. And even when I was store manager, my staff, no, they're just like, right, he's not listening to me. There'd be times when if I'm focused on something with my ADD, I'm dealing with a customer complaint or something like that, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm like, okay, I need to do this, do that. They're trying to speak to me and I'm not listening to them. It's going through one ear and out the other. So they kind of knew, right, there's a right time to approach Paul. People could say, wow, you're such a terrible manager. No, I was very good at coaching people. I had time for people. It's just that the way I worked was that if I was in the middle of something, you're best not to distract me, and then they'd know, right, okay, right, is he finished? Right, he's finished, and then they'd jump and they'd get me when I had the concentration. Again, it's just a different way of working, and I think it's very important that you tell people that you work with so they understand how you work, how you are as a person, and you're as open as possible with your work colleagues, because you have to work with these people, like sometimes 5 days a week. Honestly, you'll see them more than you see your own family half the time. So it's very important that you get a good bond with them and they understand the way that you work. Especially management, if managers understand the way that you work, a good manager, right? Because I've had two opposite experiences, right? I've had one at Top Styles where it was fantastic and my managers were brilliant with me and understood the way that I worked and used that to their advantage. And another, when I was a store manager, that there was no procedures in place and they wanted to treat me like everybody else, and my autism was a hassle. So again, you don't need to tell your work that you have autism, but I would tell the people that you work with, because it is important and you don't want people to take you the wrong way. And honestly, right, if you have a good relationship with the people that you work with and they become your friends, then it's very important, because if you have good work colleagues, they will help you out. There was a lot of times where, a lot of my colleagues would go, fuck, he's not going to deal well with this. They knew there was he's not going to deal well with this, and they would help me out. They would stand in, and especially when it came to confrontation. As a store manager, I had black and white. So like, if I had an angry customer, I could go, right, here's what's happened. I knew there were certain procedures in place. Here's the solution for you. I know you're angry. You take it in. Right, there it is. But when you've got traders that are really, really fucking angry and want to knock you out, I didn't get it many times. I got on really well with traders. There may have been some times when it's like there's a bit of confrontation and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. And you'd then get like a good colleague would stand in your corner and be like, right, Paul, stand aside. I love confrontation. And I had a few boys I worked with that weren't afraid of confrontation. So it's very important that people understand the way that you work, because they can help you out when you really need it. And honestly, I've worked with some great people, and genuinely, as soon as they understood my autism, they understood the way I worked, things got a lot easier. Okay, so in my opinion, it's a good thing to tell the people that you work with. And know what, if you do tell people and people try and take the piss out of you, then that's when, know what, don't be afraid to just go to HR or just get out of there. If your manager doesn't want to stand up for you, get out there, right? Go to HR. If HR doesn't want to do anything about it, right? Because you should never be discriminated or bullied because you have autism. I've never had anybody treat me really negatively because of my autism. So if that does happen, and it can happen in certain places, and you don't have good work colleagues, go to your manager. If your manager doesn't want to do anything about it, then if you're with a union, go to the union. If you don't want the hassle, get out of there and find another place of work. You should never have to go into your work feeling that the person that you are and like the way that your brain is wired, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the way that you are. And I've been very fortunate to work with people who have embraced my autism. So having autism can be great, guys, and don't be afraid to share it. So if you want to share more of this positivity that I'm trying to share on my channel, I'm still unsure how to, because my music and mixing YouTube channel, I make money off that and it does really well, and the autism stuff I'm still unsure how to push it more. So I'm going to do more videos about employment, because everybody seems to be interested about how I managed to get from like part-time sales to a store manager and work in retail and front face and be a top sales with high functioning autism, and the stereotypes normally that shouldn't have been. So everybody's a little bit more interested, especially a lot of the nosy people, about the grievance and again a lot of the harassment and bullying that I experienced as a store manager and stuff as well. So I'm going to speak about a lot of that stuff in employment, because I think it's very important. So if you've liked this video, please like this video, consider subscribing, leave a comment down below, right? Your experiences. Let's speak about autism or like mental health. If you've got anxiety, depression, it doesn't really matter. Let's just speak about good experiences, bad experiences, how you feel about working with the way your brain's wired. How do you feel? Does it give you anxiety to work or tell people that you have high functioning autism or anxiety or depression? Let me know. Let's speak about it. Okay, so like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.